Did you know that the way most men over 60 masturbate could be slowly damaging their bodies, without even realizing it? I'm Dr. Justin Keller. I've spent the last 15 years helping men protect their sexual health, and what I see in my clinic over and over again is this. Too many seniors are making the same quiet mistakes when it comes to self-pleasure. Mistakes that can lead to loss of sensation, infections, and long-term damage. And no one's warning them. In this video, I'm going to walk you through what's really happening inside your body as you age. The most common and harmful masturbation habits older adults still use, and the simple changes you can make today to avoid unnecessary pain, and even bring back pleasure you thought was gone. We'll talk about how to tell the difference between normal aging and a real medical problem. I'll show you safe, healthy techniques, and at the end, I'll explain the emotional side no one talks about. How self-touch affects confidence, connection, and even grief. Stay with me until the end because the very first mistake we'll cover is also the most common and the most harmful. If you're watching this, leave a comment and tell me where you're from. I want to know how far this message is reaching. And if this topic matters to you, hit the like button and subscribe to Glowing Age. It helps me bring more honest, compassionate education to people who need it. The quiet epidemic, why seniors are still getting it wrong. I've had men in their 70s sit in my office, eyes down, embarrassed, and whisper, "Doc, is it normal that I can't feel much down there anymore?" They're not alone. As a urologist, I can tell you this isn't rare. In fact, it's becoming a quiet epidemic, something that affects more older adults than we realize, but almost no one is talking about it out loud. Let's be clear. Masturbation is not the issue. It's a healthy, normal, even essential part of your relationship with yourself. The issue is how it's being done, and more importantly, what people don't know about how their bodies change after 60. When you were 30, your body responded quickly, sometimes too quickly. Nerves were sharp, blood flow was easy, skin was thick, and testosterone gave everything a little extra firepower. But in your 60s, 70s, and beyond, everything shifts. Nerve endings are less sensitive. Skin thins. Erections take more time. And the truth is, using the same techniques you relied on at 30 can now be uncomfortable, or worse, cause long-term issues like desensitization or inflammation. Here's what worries me most. I see far too many older men still applying aggressive friction, tight grips, and even using drying substances like lotion with alcohol or even shampoo. Yes, shampoo. It's harsh, it damages already delicate tissue, and it's the fastest route to what we call penile trauma. It's real and it's common. There's another issue I see again and again: silence. Most seniors were raised in generations where sex, especially self-pleasure, was a taboo topic. That silence led to decades of shame, confusion, and a lack of education. No one taught us how to adapt this part of our lives as we age. So we assume we're doing something wrong when the body doesn't respond the way it used to. Or worse, we ignore the problem altogether. Some men, terrified that they're losing it, start increasing intensity. They grip harder, they rush. They experiment with unsafe tools or toys that aren't meant for aging skin. That only makes things worse. Pleasure shouldn't hurt, and yet many older adults assume discomfort is just part of the deal now. I want you to hear this clearly. It doesn't have to be that way. And you're not broken. The biggest mistake seniors are making when it comes to masturbation isn't the act itself. It's believing that nothing needs to change. The body evolves, and the way we connect to pleasure has to evolve with it. What once felt good may now feel dull or even painful. But that doesn't mean you have to give it up. It means you have to understand the new rules of the game. In medical school, they don't teach us how to talk to older adults about this. But after 15 years of working in urology, I've learned that these conversations matter more than almost anything else I do. Because they're not just about sex. They're about confidence, health, even identity. So if you've noticed changes, if you're confused, frustrated, or even ashamed, know this, it's not just you. And you're not doing it wrong. You've just never been given the right information, until now. The most common and harmful masturbation mistakes after 60. One of the most common mistakes I see, something I call the death grip, happens because many men are unknowingly chasing the kind of stimulation their bodies can no longer process in the same way. When you apply intense, focused pressure to the same area over and over, especially with a tight grip, you're not building sensitivity, you're killing it. Repeatedly using aggressive techniques desensitizes the nerves in the penis. And when the nerves stop responding, your ability to enjoy sensation during self-pleasure or with a partner goes down dramatically. It's not just about pressure. It's also about lubrication or the lack of it. I can't count how many times a patient tells me they're using body lotion, Vaseline, or even worse, something like hand soap or shampoo. These products are not made for the sensitive mucosal skin of the genitals, especially aging skin that is thinner and more prone to micro-tears. That's how we see rashes, irritation, fungal infections, and even small cuts that can become infected. If you're using something not specifically formulated for genital use, especially water-based or pH-balanced lubricants, you're putting yourself at risk. Another big issue: hygiene. I know it's uncomfortable to talk about, but it's critical. Post-masturbation hygiene is often overlooked, especially when mobility is limited or habits are rushed. If you're not cleaning the area properly afterward, or using the same cloths or tissues repeatedly, bacteria can accumulate and cause urinary tract infections or skin conditions. It's a simple thing, but it matters more as we age. Some men also introduce devices or toys they saw online or read about in forums without fully understanding how they work. What might feel like a good idea at first, say, a vacuum pump without pressure control or a silicone sleeve that's too tight, can cause bruising, vascular damage, or nerve compression. I've had patients come in with injuries that took weeks to heal, all from something they thought was safe. One more thing, and this is sensitive but important. Some seniors masturbate not out of pleasure but out of anxiety, habit, or even loneliness. When the act becomes compulsive, it loses its ability to soothe or satisfy. You're not broken if that's happening. It just means it's time to rethink the relationship you have with your body and your emotions. Every one of these mistakes is preventable, but you have to unlearn what you knew in your youth and replace it with techniques and tools that respect the aging body. Trust me, your pleasure doesn't have to fade, but your approach does need to change. What's really happening down there? How aging affects sensation and function. Here's the truth I wish more men heard in their 50s, not after 70. Aging changes your sexual response, and that's not failure. That's biology. Understanding what's actually happening to your body can take away fear, frustration, and a lot of shame. Let's start with nerve endings. As you age, the density and responsiveness of nerve fibers in the penis begins to decline. That means the same kind of stimulation might feel weaker, or take longer to trigger arousal. It's not that you're less of a man, it's that your nervous system is evolving. And yet many men respond by trying harder, applying more pressure, or speeding things up. That only creates more numbness over time. Blood flow is another key player. Erections rely on strong, flexible blood vessels. But by the time you hit your 60s and 70s, those vessels can stiffen due to age, cholesterol, diabetes, or lack of physical activity. The result: erections take longer to develop, may be softer, and can be harder to maintain. None of this means you're done with sex. It means you need more patience, more buildup, and sometimes a little medical help. Then there's testosterone. Levels drop gradually over time, about 1% per year after age 30. That slow decline affects libido, energy, and even the intensity of orgasm. Many men tell me, it just doesn't feel the same. And they're right, it's not in their head. Hormonal changes affect the way your body processes pleasure, tension, and release. Another important but overlooked factor is skin integrity. As we age, the skin becomes thinner and loses natural elasticity. For the penis, that means it's more prone to irritation, dryness, and even tearing if handled too roughly. Older skin doesn't bounce back the same way, and it needs to be treated with much more care and intention. Even the pelvic floor muscles weaken over time. These are the muscles that control everything from urination to orgasm. Weakness here can lead to dribbling after climax, reduced ejaculatory force, and a less satisfying orgasm. But the good news? These muscles can be trained. Pelvic floor therapy isn't just for women, it's for anyone who wants to improve function and sensation. Finally, the brain changes too. Neurologically, older adults can experience delayed arousal responses, even if the mind is willing. Stress, medications, grief, and relationship dynamics all play a role. That's why it's so important to take a whole-body, whole-life approach to pleasure, not just focus on the physical act. When you know what's happening inside your body, you stop blaming yourself. You stop rushing. And you start approaching pleasure with the kind of patience, skill, and curiosity it truly deserves. Aging isn't the end of sexual wellness. It's just a new chapter, and it's one worth understanding. The power of relearning, healthier, safer ways to self-pleasure. One of the most powerful shifts a man can make after 60 is this: stop trying to replicate the past and start learning what feels good now. You're not chasing performance, you're cultivating presence. Start by slowing down. Give yourself more time. The days of quick, friction-heavy release may be behind you, and that's a good thing. Now is the time for exploration, not repetition. Instead of focusing on orgasm as the goal, think of touch as communication with yourself. You're not performing, you're listening. Use the right tools. A good quality, water-based or hybrid lubricant can change everything. Look for products that are pH-balanced and free of alcohol or parabens. These protect the sensitive skin, reduce friction, and actually increase sensation. If you're on blood thinners or diabetic, this is even more important to avoid tearing and infection. Think beyond the hand. Modern products aren't all gimmicks. There are devices specifically made for older users, soft, body-safe materials with adjustable settings, gentle suction, or warming features. These aren't meant to be flashy, they're meant to be functional, safer, and more satisfying. Start slow. Don't go for intensity, go for comfort and subtlety. If your erections aren't what they used to be, that doesn't mean pleasure is off the table. Many men find enormous fulfillment from soft touch techniques, prostate stimulation, or even full-body erogenous exploration. You'd be surprised how much sensation you can awaken once you're not locked into a single script. This is where mindfulness comes in. Try a simple breathing rhythm or a brief body scan before touching yourself. What's the temperature of the room? Where are you holding tension? What feels good without needing to go faster or harder? This isn't new age fluff. Studies show that mindful self-touch can improve arousal, satisfaction, and even erectile function over time. Relearning also means unlearning. Let go of the myths you grew up with, that it's shameful, that it should be hidden, that it's just a substitute for real sex. Self-pleasure isn't a fallback, it's a cornerstone of self-respect. And at this stage in life, it can be a powerful way to reconnect with your body in a world that often ignores it. Finally, make it part of your wellness routine. A warm shower, relaxed lighting, music you love. This doesn't need to be rushed or done in secret. Create space for it. Let it be intentional. That's how pleasure deepens. That's how touch heals. You've spent a lifetime with your body. Isn't it time you treated it like a partner, not just a machine? When it's a symptom, warning signs that should not be ignored. As a urologist, I've seen firsthand what happens when early warning signs are ignored. Many seniors assume discomfort, numbness, or irregular function is just part of getting older. And while aging does bring change, there's a line between normal adaptation and symptoms that signal something deeper. Let's start with pain. Masturbation should never hurt. If you're experiencing burning, sharp pain, or soreness during or after self-pleasure, that's a red flag. It could be a sign of urethral inflammation, microtears, or even a urinary tract infection. And yes, men can get those, especially if hygiene is inconsistent or if you're using products that disrupt the skin's natural balance. Another warning sign: numbness. If your sensitivity has dropped off dramatically, it could be due to overuse of intense techniques, but it can also point to peripheral nerve damage. This is particularly common in men with diabetes, high blood pressure, or a history of vascular issues. Don't wait until it's irreversible. Sensation can often be preserved or even improved if you address it early. Bleeding, bruising, or visible skin damage, that's never normal. Whether it's due to friction, tight devices, or unnoticed cuts, any trauma in that area should be taken seriously. Older skin heals more slowly. What might have been a minor irritation at 25 can become an infection risk at 70. Also watch for delayed or absent ejaculation, particularly if it's a new change. This might signal prostate enlargement, side effects from medication, or even early signs of neurological issues. Some men brush it off as just aging, but the prostate plays a key role in sexual function, and any change in pattern should prompt a conversation with your doctor. And while we're on the topic of the prostate, don't ignore pelvic pressure, difficulty urinating after climax, or a sensation of incomplete release. These symptoms could indicate chronic prostatitis or benign prostatic hyperplasia, BPH, both of which are common but very manageable with medical support. It's not just about the body either. If you're masturbating compulsively, using it to numb loneliness or anxiety, or feel guilt afterward that lingers beyond the moment, that's a different kind of warning sign. Your emotional well-being is just as important. If the habit is causing distress, interfering with your relationships, or replacing meaningful connection, it may be time to explore what's really going on inside. You've earned the right to pleasure without pain, and part of protecting that right is knowing when to ask for help. A short doctor's visit now can prevent long-term complications and bring peace of mind you didn't know you were missing. The bigger picture, pleasure, connection, and self-worth at every age. Too many men over 60 quietly assume their best days of connection and intimacy are behind them. That's not just sad, it's false. Sexuality doesn't retire. It changes form, it deepens, it shifts with the seasons of your life, but it never stops mattering. What I've learned as a doctor is that for older adults, self-pleasure often goes far beyond the physical. It's about presence, about identity, about reclaiming something no one else can give you, a sense of being alive in your own skin. After loss, after retirement, after the noise of earlier decades fades, touch becomes something different. For many men, especially those who have lost a partner, masturbation can be both a grief ritual and a healing act. It reconnects them to their body, to their memories, and even to a sense of agency in a world that may feel like it's moving on without them. There's quiet power in that. We don't talk about this enough, how pleasure can support mental health. Studies show that healthy sexual expression, even solo, can reduce blood pressure, improve sleep, lower stress hormones, and boost immune response. But beyond the science, it's the emotional impact that matters most. Pleasure reminds you that you still matter, that you still feel, that you still deserve joy. It also offers something men rarely admit they crave: tenderness. Not just stimulation, not performance, but simple, safe, human tenderness. And learning to give that to yourself, without judgment, without shame, is one of the most meaningful acts of self-respect there is. You don't need to get back to who you were. That man had his time. This version of you, he's earned peace. He's earned curiosity. He's earned the right to explore pleasure as a whole-body, whole-soul experience. Whether it's through mindful touch, fantasy, memory, or deep relaxation, there are no rules anymore. Only respect for what your body wants to say now. If you take one thing away from all of this, let it be this: your sexuality didn't disappear, it matured. And that version of intimacy, slower, wiser, quieter, is not less, it's more. You've just learned the most important truths about self-pleasure and aging. What works in your 30s doesn't always work at 70, and that's not failure. That's wisdom. You now know the key warning signs to watch for, how to adapt your techniques, and why pleasure is still deeply valuable, even in quiet, tender ways. If any of this surprised you, good. That means you're paying attention. And if any part of this gave you relief, know you're not alone. I make these videos because no one taught us how to age with honesty. But we can learn now. If you found this video helpful, like it. If you want more videos on aging, connection, and health, subscribe to Glowing Age. It helps me keep creating these lessons for people who have earned the right to be seen, respected, and informed.